This is From the Cradle to the Stave. Music Moms Speak.
Mothers of 3 musicians joined forces together to create this podcast.
They see the music industry and music life from a previously unheard point of view. Our mothers truly see and feel the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly of the music world.
They share their experiences with you one episode at a time.
So here it is, From the Cradle to the Stave. Music Moms Speak.
Hello and welcome to From the Cradle to the Stave, Music Mothers Speak. We are glad to have you with us. I'm Juanita Smith, mother of Eric Erdman.
Hi, I'm Dottie Armour, mother of Laurie Ann Armour.
Hey, I'm Pat French, mother of Simone French. Our children are local singer-songwriters here on the Gulf Coast, and we're going to bring you a perspective of the music world from our point of view.
Okay, and this time around we are going to talk about the Gulf Coast blues boy, Mr. Jamell Richardson, who appeared at
The Listening Room here in Mobile. Great show.
It was. And y'all know the Listening Room is one of my favorite places to be, so.
I think all of ours.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love the intimacy and just the atmosphere, and it's like a small art gallery. I really like that.
Too, yeah.
Well, I haven't been around a long time and seen places that my son played where people were not paying attention and were rude. It really is a breath of fresh air to know that they're paying attention and honoring the artist when they come there to show their talent.
And the variety of music you get, too, is he has all kinds. At times he'll have a burlesque show there.
Yeah,
he'll have comedians, and so it's a broad range. So, folks need to check his schedule.
And he's bringing people from all over the place,
exactly.
not just here.
I think it's still a well-kept secret here in Mobile.
To some extent, yes. There's big parts of the city that are not aware we now have a listening room. And they don't have to go to a smoky bar to hear music. So we need to spread that out. Maybe our podcast can help with that.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Because hopefully we'll have a young audience, and hopefully we'll have a more mature audience. So for those mature people who do not like the smoky bars and all the loud noise, the Listening Room is fantastic.
And for the young people that actually want to hear the music for the first time, then it might be a really refreshing thing, too. Yeah.
Okay, Jamell.
He is fine.
He is such a nice person and nice to look at. We'll go ahead and get that out there.
Okay, I'm not allowed to say that because he's my son. But I say it because every time I have gone to his show, I kind of relate it to just a pot of gumbo, just a variety of things, and just so good. I come away wanting more because he gives 200%. You definitely get your money's worth. But what I like most about him is that he always engages his audience.
Oh. Exactly. That's the thing that amazed me is you can't just sit there and be a wallflower on his show. He's going to include you.
Yes. One of our music moms know that, right?
She was up dancing, yes.
We don't need to get into that. That's okay. I will say I was a good sport, You
were.
I don't know my left foot from my right, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
It
Jamell
was definitely fun, yeah.
It was. And I didn't know, like I said, his website is jamellrichardson.com. And so after listening to his music and watching him perform, I said, well, I just want to know a little bit more about him. And his song, if you listen to his song, I Love the Blues, he talks about where he kind of came from, born in Mississippi and raised in Alabama. And I think it said on his website that his grandmother started taking him to church at an early age. And so church music and that atmosphere had a big influence on him.
One thing I loved about watching them get ready, first of all, they're warm up or whatever. What I can't think of the word. Do you know what from their
Sound check.
Sound check. Their sound check. Good Lord. Anyway, it was like a show in itself.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
And then they disappeared, and they came back all dressed super nice with nice sport coats and white dress shirts, except for the star, and his shirt was different.
Yeah.
So that made him stand out. That's really good thinking.
Yeah, and I was kind of, because we got there early and we were watching the sound check and everything, and I thought, well, when Jim Pennington talks about his backup band, he calls them the Dapper Dudes, and I'm like, where's the Dapper?
It's how they're dressing. Yes.
Yeah. So they went out and came back all Dapper Duded. So
They're serious musicians. And that's what I love about, the whole group. Jamell is a great singer. He's a great performer. He's just an all-around great artist and a great person. But what I love most is that they are a serious band. They're very, very professional.
yes,
And what I love about him is that when my daughter Simone performs with him, he brings out the best in her. So I really enjoy it. But I think they're all great performers.
Oh, I do too. I love the bass player. The minute I saw him, he's tall and slim, and he had a man bun. Did you know? His name is Chris Allen, and he just had such confidence. To me, I thought of him later that night, and I think he was like the eye of a hurricane because he's all calm inside but real strong with the instrument on the outside. I just really liked him.
I enjoyed the drummer, Tyrone.
Tyrone Dunning.
Yes, he was awesome.
Yes.
He was, and Jamell has such I don't say control, but you can, and that's what I like to do when I have a full band like that, is to sit back and watch how they watch him, and they take all their cues from him, and he's very particular and has high standards, and they live up to it most of the time.
Yeah, I do. I love his management style too, and that's what I think. That's what come across so well. Sometimes you can hear a band and you see them, and they may sound good, but then you notice other things about them, and they may not be as well put together or as professional, or everybody comes up in something different. So to me, there's no uniformity. And I guess it just depends on what you're trying to get across to your audience, or what you're trying to represent in your image. But I love that it's such a well put together band. And I get excited when I'm going to his shows because one, I'm a girl, I like to dress up. and then it's like, I know they're going to be looking so sharp, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm thinking, Jamell, if you come call on me to get up and dance, I'm going to beat you down right here in front of your audience. But it's just...
I would have stroked out, so I think you did pick the best of the three. That was brave. I think to get up and dance.
Yes. But it's just a lot. It's a lot of fun. I would encourage, the listeners that if you never heard them play, make sure and put it on your list, and you will not regret it, because it is definitely a fantastic show.
It is.
Anytime I've ever seen them.
And musically, his guitar playing is just... I was just amazed. I shouldn't have been. I knew that, I'd heard enough that how professional and talented he was, but I just enjoyed the whole guitar solos that just, oh my gosh. You could hear the influence of B.B. King, which he says is his idol.
Right.
You can hear a little bit of that influence in his music.
Right. I even think Jimi Hendrix, but I just...
That too, yeah.
And he does put on a show. And so when he gets on the floor and, he's playing... And it's just, it seems like it comes to him so natural.
Right. He dropped on his knees and bent straight back, and I thought, how can he do that? I'd never get back up.
Well, that was what was neat to me. I did not realize that his guitar was wireless until he was out. I mean, he was in the middle of the room, in the back of the room, up the side of the room. I mean, playing.
That's his MO. He does that all the time.
Gosh.
Yeah, he loves to engage.
He really, really engages.
Yeah.
Conversations,
Right.
dancing.
Right. Yeah, I just, when you talk about his gift, when he plays, he reminds me of just an old soul, and he's a pretty young guy. So I really enjoy it, and then I enjoy the stories behind the songs because he's kind of funny sometimes too. But don't tell him I said that. But he is a great musician. Now, the first time I met Jamell was a few years ago, and Simone was in a band, and they opened for him at the Soul Kitchen. And I really thought he was older, than what he was. And when she said he plays the blues, and I was like, oh, okay, But he's really impressive with his gift. And then the fact, I saw him in a movie he was in, the James Brown Get On
I heard
Up.
about that.
Yeah, and I had saw it before I met him, but then when I realized she said it was him, I went back and watched it again. And I mean, he is just so talented. He really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's a true talent because he walked in and sized us all up in the audience, and before you know it, he had us laughing, singing, clapping. He just made us into happy people.
He did, and that's just it. You were up the whole time. I mean, you think the blues is not. You don't put blues and up together in the same sentence.
Right.
But he built everybody up, like you said. That was. Now, speaking of music, what was your favorite song that he did? Did you pick one out? Do you have a favorite of his?
I actually liked them all, and I have to tell you, I can't remember the titles of anyone. And when you named that one earlier, what was it?
I Love the Blues.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that was probably, if I had to pick one, would be my favorite.
It was, I think, just because it has his roots and his growing up in it. And I got a kick out of his one that was the, I don't know if I can say it right, Bamasipiana.
Oh, yeah, Bamasipiana. Yes,
that was a lot of fun.
He had us all chanting that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Does anyone know where Melly Mel comes from? That nickname that he's often, it always says Jamell Richardson. And I said, that's got to have come from a mama.
Yeah,
Being
or
a
grandmother.
Grandmother or mama. Yeah.
We'll have to find out. We'll have to do our homework on that one.
Yes, I bet you could find out,
Yes,
too.
you
Since it's your son.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
but it was a great show.
It
And
was.
I'm really glad that we guys went, to get that experience. And I say this, too. If you go to his shows and you got an unhappy face,
There's something wrong with you. When you leave, if you leave unhappy, something's wrong with you.
And even if you don't like the blues, I think you will really enjoy his performance.
Yes, but
Because I think you could hear that church influence too. Yeah.
But he's such an entertainer. He's not just a musician. He's not
Right.
just a guitar player. He's, he's well rounded. Where he's like an
Right.
entertainer.
Right.
Which, and you would think, as big as he appears on stage, he's not that big on himself.
Right.
He's
not
very
full of himself.
he's very humble.
He is.
He is so genuine.
He is.
One other thing we've omitted that I think we need to bring up is we didn't mention there's also a keyboardist that was in his band.
Yes,
true.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't want to
yes.
leave anyone out.
He's always very quiet, but he's
awesome too.
He
His
really
name
is.
Travorce Edwards.
Right.
Okay.
He's very good.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, all of the guys I think are just fantastic at what they do. And when they pull it all together, it's just like, boy, what a good time we're going to have,
Yeah.
It's great when you can see them playing and you can tell they're having fun.
Right. Right.
They're awesome.
That is.
Right.
It's the sign of a good mix and a good leader,
Right.
too.
Right. It sure is.
So, and you know his little, and you said it once already. His little, I guess you could call it his tagline is he's going to make sure you get your money's worth.
Yes.
And you definitely do.
Right. We sure did that night.
Yes, worth every penny. Okay. Let's see. Anything else about Jamell we want to talk about? I know when I was going back over my notes and stuff from the show, I had actually gone on to SoundCloud and found him there, and you can get a lot of his music there. I spent a lunch hour enjoying the blues. So you can get SoundCloud. You can find Jamell Richardson. You can find his website. I'm sure he has a Facebook page.
Yes.
And he's often also called the Gulf Coast Blues Boy.
Yeah.
And I'm a happy mama because on his latest album, on his latest CD, Simone is in background vocals on a couple of the songs.
Nice.
So that was pretty special that they got to work together.
I bet.
In a professional environment.
Yeah. And I bet he pulled her up to her highest level of performance. I can't imagine him asking for anything less.
Now, I have not, it's funny because I have not shared that with either of them, but when I watch, when he calls her up on stage, you know, if she shows up at some of his shows, and I think it's really cute, you know, he refers to her as his little sister from another mother. And, but he really does bring out something in her that's like really deep, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe she's doing that. But he's not just a great musician and an artist, but he's also a great teacher.
Really,
he really is.
I think that's really a sign of a musician that's sure of himself and not full of himself. When they're willing to reach down to the beginners or the new ones that don't have his experience and help, that really shows a lot about that musician.
And you can tell that he loves music. It's in his bones. It's in his soul. Yeah, I love that about him. All right, Mr. Jamell Richardson, the Gulf Coast Blues Boy.
Y'all find him and listen.
Yes.
All righty then. Well, I think we are just about at that part of our program where we go into our Love It.
Yes, and tonight our Love It person is the same for all three, and that is Cat Certain, right?
Yes. Right. Mr. Certain. Do you know that, and you know some things, but then you read more and learn more. I did not realize he had been part of the Mobile music scene for over 30 years. That was just, and it makes sense because that it's just a name that I have always heard, mostly in radio, because my husband was in radio. And, with him at the radio station and his radio programs, he has done a tremendous amount for the music culture in this Gulf Coast area. He really has.
Right. And he's also an educator. He worked at Spring Hill College for years, teaching sound and how to run sound and that sort of thing. Brilliant man, but he reaches a hand out to all musicians that are local and tries to help them. He's the one that got the program together, sort of with his name, Radio Avalon. It was called Live from Avalon, where he did a show for the Alabama Public Television. It was 13 shows. But anything to help expose our musicians to the world.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Talking about Radio Avalon, just recently, this past August, I don't know if y'all remember, or you probably were part of it, where he had his 5,000th show.
Yes.
Which is amazing to me that he has found a niche and that he is appealing to people.
Right.
And, not only the musicians who, that is such an honor to be invited, but the people who listen. He's just keeping that education going.
Right.
Yeah. I remember one of the county commissioners was there, and he gave him a key to the city that night.
Wow.
Wow.
Simone performed that night also.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really nice. I didn't make it, but I did get to listen to it. Someone recorded it locally, so on Facebook. So I got to watch along with it. But he's such a nice guy. I remember when Simone did Brown series, but I think when I first met him,
The Brown Bag series.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Brown Bag series. But when I first met Cat, was doing the live from Avalon. Such a nice guy, and actually my husband would listen to his shows. So when he introduced himself, it was like, I know you. But and I love the way that he promotes and honors the local artists, the up and coming artists. You know, and it's just amazing.
He has a big heart. He's fabulous. Now, he joined up with Eric. One day, Eric was playing Brown Bag, and it was in Fairhope at the windmill, that Friday one. And Eric said, I've been thinking about getting together songwriters, local songwriters, and us having a show like it maybe at one of the theaters or something. He goes, okay, name the day, we're going to do it. It was like, whoa. So you think about it, but he made it come to fruition. Right. And then Ryan Balthrop came up with the name Port City Uprising, and Kat said, well, let's leave the up off. It sounds more like say Port City Rising.
Like
so he came up with
group,
primarily came up with the name. Ryan Balthrop did. But there were 8 local solo artists, and Eric brought them together, and he and Kat put the show together. It was fabulous. We filled up the auditorium at the Joe Jefferson Playhouse.
Yes.
It's called Port City Rising. They repeated it at the Sanger Theater, and they talk about maybe doing it again sometime. But anytime you come up with an idea like that and he likes it, he's going to jump on it real quick and make it happen.
So he's a shaker and mover.
Yes.
That's great to know.
One of the quotes that I found from him says that introducing new unheard music is one of the reasons I got into radio, and there is a critical aspect to finding new songs. So I just, he found his niche, basically, and he is such a great person for the music in Mobile, and that's why we love him.
Right, we love you, Kat.
We love it, and we love Kat Certain.
Yes, sir.
He also received the Citizen Citation this year, which is the only time a musician has ever gotten it, and the last person that was awarded it was Hank Aaron, so that's been quite a few years ago.
Wow.
It's really special.
It's a great honor.
It is. So I think we're going to wrap it up for this time. I want to thank everybody for listening today. And if you have any questions or suggestions for topics, or you just want to say hello, you can find us on the web at fromthecradletothestave.com or by email. That's Juanita or Pat or Dottie at fromthecradletothestave.com. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.